Welcome everyone. Today's going to be a rant video. I'm going to be talking about a plethora of different topics. First, I'm going to start with anarchy within crypto. Then I'm going to move to the financial crisis that's incoming and just my opinions on how this whole situation is going to take place or play out. I want to preface this by saying that if you don't know who I am a very objective type of person, very rational. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not an alarmist. I look at facts and I create my opinions or I create my positions based on those facts that are presented. I'm very math and science oriented, so if I can't see it, chances are I probably won't believe it. But let's talk about anarchy and let's talk about the incoming financial recession. And let's talk about the coronavirus as well. All of these things are going to be related. This system right now is out of control. We are in more debt than we ever have been. The entire economy is fake. It is just propped up money that has been just pumped in since the bailout of the banks and before the bailout of the banks is just, I don't know, it's flowing into the stock market, giving people an illusion that there's actual economy, but in reality we're in more debt than we've ever been. Any rational person would say that this is not sustainable. If you look at the global debt calculator, compared to our GDP, compared to the amount of money that we actually create, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add in. If there are people that argue that we can live in perpetual debt, just because we can live in perpetual debt doesn't make it right. The average consumer, you're not allowed to run up your credit cards indefinitely without people starting to try and collect that money. No one collects the money from the government. Like, no one holds the government responsible. They are the pinnacle of the financial system. So they can just continue pulling the wool over our eyes, running the sham scam until oblivion. We're in over $23 trillion of debt, and it just keeps rising and rising and rising. And it's not sustainable. It is not sustainable. The monetary system is destroyed. People are just, I don't understand. Who's lying to who, because there are people, the mainstream media tells us that the financial system is, the economy is doing great, but it's not. It really isn't. An economy based on just massive consumer debt, massive government debt is just not sustainable, and it's not healthy. If I was doing some kind of tycoon game, like, one of those roller coaster tycoon type of games where you create a city and you are in this much debt, I would consider it a failed city. And we are in massive amounts of consumer debt. We are massive amounts of student loan debt. We are in massive, there are a lot of auto loans that are defaulting. The whole 2008 financial crisis with mortgage-backed securities, apparently that's translating to the auto industry now. I don't know. How long does this keep on going? Does this go on perpetually? Does this go on till infinity? People are employed. The dollar is just not as strong as it used to. Every year it seems like you can buy less and less and less. $20 doesn't get you anything anymore. $100 doesn't get you much anymore in the United States. So what does that take us moving forward? Where does that take us moving forward? I want to switch over now to China. The coronavirus that's happening within China, 150 million workers right now have government restrictions about when they can work, where they can work, whether or not they are suitable for work based on the quarantine structure that the Chinese government is implementing. And it's terrible. China produces most of the world's goods, and if production is halted for a prolonged period of time, that's going to affect the global economy. It's how long can these quarantines happen without just the entire system collapsing? Maybe this is the start of the next recession. If the virus gets out of control and more workers are quarantined, then global production goes down, and goods and services that are traditionally bought on our debt-based system cannot be purchased again, and there's actually not even any money inflowing into the system. What happens then? Do we just print more money? The cycle continues? I don't know. It's a good question. It is a good question, but it doesn't look good. So I'm reading articles about oil production as well. Ever since the coronavirus, and prior to the coronavirus as well, the OPEC countries have been decreasing their supply of oil, uh, but countries like Russia, there are countries like Russia that are, their whole economy runs on the back of oil because they do not generate revenue in many other sectors. So they produce the same amount of oil. So you just have a surplus of oil that's being produced and no buyers. What does that do? What does that do? What effects does that have? It seems like the next recession is right around the corner. It seems like it should have happened already. I don't know what powers that be that are just stopping it from happening, but that's exactly what's happening. So let's move on to crypto. There's a lot of crypto anarchists out there that believe that the death of the system is what we need. You know, the complete collapse of society, another terrible recession. And I'm not sure if that will be good or bad for crypto. I really don't know. All I know is that's not a system or a society that I necessarily want to live in. I do not understand the juxtaposition of individuals within crypto who want just complete anarchy. It's like, okay, you're rich with your crypto rich, you have your money, you do this, but you live in a society where everyone is broke. I mean, it's not far different from what society we live in now, but resource allocation is even worse. That's not a society I want to be in. You know, everyone wants to have their millions of dollars of crypto and just, live in a bunker. But that's not a society I want to live in. I don't want to live in a society where there's such a disparity amongst people, because that just leads to just insecurity. I don't want to worry about my security. I mean, I have worried about my security in the past. I lived in Mississippi for 2 years. My house got broken into 4 times. Do you understand how vulnerable you feel as an individual when your house gets broken into? Regardless of whether you have protection or not, it's not something I wish upon anyone. And if you do not get affected mentally or emotionally affected by that, then I don't know, you just are one of those type of people. But there's 2 types of people in this world. Even if you have protection, you just don't want these kind of things happening to you. And the more and more we just collapse the system and just create these insecurities and just pocket wealth, it's just going to lead to more and more desperation amongst people, more and more insecurity. So I don't know what the solution is moving forward. I know that it's something that you really have to think about. So let me know your thoughts. I mean, what kind of society do you want to live in? What do you think this current financial system is sustainable? And leave your comments below and let me know what you think. All right, bye everyone.